The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us that whoever builds a mosque for Allah, Allah will build for him a similar house in Jannah. And we know the great reward that will not only be gained, but rather will fill your grave after your death. Whenever someone prays there, whenever someone gives shahada in the masjid, whenever someone learns something in the masjid, yes, that will be something that you'll have on your scale.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys doing? I came across a video from this man called Patrick Bet-Davis. You may know him from his channel called 𝙈𝙤𝙨. Let's take a look at the video and come back and respond in kind.
A bit of the Christian religion have an influence over him, but also the Muslim. In the Muslim religion, as much as people in America want to make it's a very peaceful thing. You've heard Bill Maher say this before. But Bill says, most Muslims are not terrorists. But Bill Maher also says, but most terrorists are Muslims, right? So when you read that, like, wait a minute, you can't say that. He's not wrong, right? When you have this kind of conversation, there's a part of him where I think the way the Muslim community looks at women, it is very submissive. It is very, I get to do this and you can't. It is very, I can have multiple wives. You can't have multiple husbands. It is very, you can't get to sleep around, which, your body.
Well, these kinds of cliches, I have to say, are cliches which we've heard as the Muslim community all too often. They've been repeated, regurgitated, reiterated, and I have to say, they are boring now for us. I mean, we've heard this so many times before. It doesn't mean to say that just because of the monotony that it induces within our very psyches, that it's not worthy of a response, which is what I'm doing here now in this video. What I will say is that there were two assertions that were really made by this man, Patrick Bet-Davis. The first was one which he agreed with the proposition, let's say, that Muslims are the majority of terrorists, or the majority of terrorists are Muslims, putting it exactly in the terms that he put it in. Now, first and foremost, what is a terrorist? Let's really think about it. Now, obviously, if you go on, Cambridge Dictionary or something, it's going to say that a terrorist is someone who uses violence for political objectives. However, if you look in the fields of political science and international relations, there is no consensus as to what the definition of the term terrorist actually means. But what I will say is this. If what we're talking about is the targeting or the killing of non-combatants, people that are otherwise not engaged in warfare for political objectives, let's say, and we look in the historical record for the last 2,000 years, I think it's almost impossible to make the case that the Islamic civilization, in whichever way you would like to define it, even a way that, say, Samuel P. Huntington does in his book, The Clash of Civilizations, that in whichever way you wish to define it, the Muslim civilization is not the forerunner in this. For example, in fact, there was an article that was written with tabulation that was made by Naveed Sheikh. Of course, every kind of tabulation or categorization or compartmentalization will have some level of methodological obscurity, problem, and limitation. But having said that, he concluded that the Christian civilization was the most, in terms of civilian death, active in committing them, with 178 million people, he states, who have died in wars related to the Christian civilization, compared to only 31 million Muslims, people that have died as a result of wars in the Muslim civilization. Now, I'm not saying any of that is good, and of course, what Muslims do or Christians do is different to what Islam and or Christianity is, or there's no necessary link between the two notions. But what I will say is, these kinds of historical facts, when they are put forward, they are almost always ignored. When we talk about the colonial conquests, when we're talking about the expansion of Spain, for example, into the Americas, when we are talking about Manifest Destiny in America, when we are talking about the British colonial empire and India, when we are talking about the 11 wars that were waged by the United States of America, of which Many of them are contemporary to us. Many of them are in our own lifetimes. A million people died in Iraq, for example, in the same part of the world that this Patrick Bet Davis is from. Now I'm saying to you, let's be honest and fair on our assessments. What are you talking about? If you want to make a case that there is something inherently violent about Islam, then go ahead and make the theological case. But of course, the word Islam in this discourse, and it was a very short one, 30 seconds, I have to say, very cowardly kind of discourse where he was putting it in a very conniving kind of way in his normal podcast, Bet Davis, because he wasn't presenting this to someone who can challenge his ideas. Very cowardly. But what I was going to say was, this kind of discourse, there's almost always equivocation between Islam as a religion and Islam as a civilization of some sorts. So what is the claim that is being made? That Islam as a religion, the text, the primary texts, is inherently violent? And if so, can you put the evidence forward? Or is it that you're talking about the civilization? In which case, how do you define the civilization? Let's have a proper discussion about this issue. Secondarily, I will say, or secondly, he mentions in making the argument against Islam for 30 seconds, the issues to do with gender. What I'll say in this case is as follows. We've already spoken in my content. You'll find in many different places where we challenge feministic presuppositions, the fundamental flaws of feminism, why feminism is false, and so on. However, what I will say is this: it's not enough to preach to the choir, to try and energize the base, to make the assertion that, okay, well, Islam allows a man to marry 4 and a woman can only marry 1, or that a woman has to be submissive in marriage. It's clear, I think, for any fair academic person, that there are differences in dominant Western ethics and Islamic discourses. There are differences to do with the tension of the individual to the community, or the husband and the wife, the family and the community and the society. All of these things, yes, there are different questions. There are different answers as per, which ideology you are looking at. But the question is, why would that make, for example, Islam false, wrong, unfair, unjust, or any of those things? Is there an argument that you're making here? Because I'm still waiting to hear the argument. But the point is, Patrick Davis, unfortunately, you spoke to Andrew Tate for 5 hours, and he's one of the, voices of traditional family and hierarchy within households and so on. Why don't you bring these interrogations to him? Why now, when you're speaking to a feminist, are you giving her practically everything she wants to hear? I don't think that you're conducting yourself in a very courageous or dignified way. And I will say to you, unfortunately, you have not made a satisfactory argument which is worthy actually of any kind of refutation further than what I have already said here. If you do want to discuss this matter, I'm always open to discuss the matter and challenge your views. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hey you! Are you wasting your time on social media again? Your brothers and sisters in Islam Net from Norway are establishing a masjid, a da'wah center. Establishing a masjid to convey the message of Islam is one of the best deeds a Muslim can do. There's a huge need for it in Norway. You know this and I know this. So that makes the reward even greater. So give generously and Allah Azza wa Jal will give you even more.